center. And let's make the font size is obviously going to be bigger than this. Let's say 15 pixels. Save 15. Let's look at this. Alright, let's bold it. So to bold, we want to do font weight. Bold. Save. So now it's bold. So now, of course, we want to separate these. They're all running into each other as they are now. So what we want to do is we want to add some padding. And padding, we don't want any padding on the top. So that's top. The next is right. We want 10 pixels on the right. Nothing on the bottom. Now the left, we want 10 pixels. Save, reload. So now you can see it's taken shape. Now we just want to move these down. And I don't want to do it on the link level. I want to do it on the UL level. So let's say padding top 20 pixels. Save. Let's see that's too far. So let's try 15. When you first get into the CSS and HTML, there's a lot of trial and error. So be prepared for that. See, now that looks like it's too far up, so let's try 18. And there we go, that looks good to me. Yeah. Tiny bit difference from the original, but I'm just going on, you know, as I go. I'm programming as I go, So the next thing, we have the nav bar. Actually, let me just add a tiny bit more padding. Let's do 13 here. Save, reload. Alright, there we go. That's exact. Alright, so the header's done. Menu's done. Next thing we want to do is, I'd say the next thing we should do would be the left menu right here, which is this. So let me see. Let's just look at our HTML real quick. And it looks like it's a div ID called left menu. So if we go to our style sheet, underneath the main menu styles we just created, we want to add left menu. And we're going to pretty much do the same thing that we did with the other menu. We're going to design the core div as well as the unordered list and the links and so forth. So for the left menu div on its own, let's do a margin top of 15 pixels. Save, reload, and it just brings it down a bit. 1 second. Alright. Now the next thing we should do is the width, and the width of it is, I believe, 190 from here to here. So let's do that. Let's do a width 190 pixels. Save. So as you can see now, it's actually doing the auto margin, and we don't want that. So we want to float it to the left. Save. Now it's back to the left. Now the next thing we want to do, let's do the color. And the color is, 1 second. This is the color. Save, reload. Still looks really crappy, but we're getting there. Now I want to point out something. You'll see here we have these round borders. Now before CSS 3 and before a lot of the new browsers were released, you actually had to use images to get the round corner effect. You'd have to create these divs on each corner and actually have a background image that was the same color as the background to have that effect. And that was just that was really horrible. And I'm so happy that CSS3 and the new browsers were able to do this much easier. And all we need to do, let's go back here, all we need to do is add the border radius property, and we'll say 10 pixels. Save. Now if you see these corners right here, now they're rounded, and that's just so much easier than using the background images that I used for seems like so many years. So that's that, and now we just want to add some padding. We want to do 15 on the top. I'd say 20 on the right, 5 on the bottom, 10 on the left. Save, reload, and there, we're getting there. Actually, I'm going to add, let's make the bottom 10. There we go. Alright, so that's it for the actual left menu div. Now we want to do the UL in the left menu div. And we want to do a list style none. We want to do, let's just do a padding. Let's zero out the padding. And I think that's it. Let's save that. Alright. Next thing we want to do is actually, you know what, I want to do the heading. This right here, this links, I want to do that. And that's an H3. I want to make that white. And I don't want any padding on that. Actually, yes, I do want padding. I want padding on the bottom only. And I want 8 pixels padding. And let's put a border bottom. We'll do white and solid and 2 pixels. Save that, reload. There's actually, let's make that a little bigger. Font size 16. Alright. Next thing we want to do is the list. Do that right here. So the LI, the lists are each individual line, each individual list item. And we want to do, again, let's just do the list style none just in case. And let's do some padding of 15 pixels. 15, 0, 8, 0. And let's do the border bottom 2 pixels dashed. Is it dashed? Yep, this is a dashed border. So dashed, I'm gonna do white. Alright, so let's save that, reload. Actually, we want the 1 pixel dashed. Alright, so now we need to do these links. So let's do left menu A. Alright, so actually we're going to do left menu A, and now I don't know if I mentioned this, but you can add more than one ID or class. Like we could have this, then we could have, say, menu A, you know, all the links in the menu up here, A. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the left menu A, the left menu links, as well as the left menu links visited. Now you can use this visited, which means links that the person has already clicked on. So sometimes in some browsers, if you don't include this right here, then the links that you've clicked on could actually be a different color than the links you haven't, which can get sloppy. So it's just good to attach that, to have that there, and I'm actually going to do that up here as well. So it's just a colon and then visited. Now you could also style hover links that are hovered too, like this. And we will get into that. Alright, so anyway, the left menu links, we obviously want to change the color. Change it. Whoop. My bad. Alright, there we go. And we want to take the text decoration to none. Get rid of those underlines. And let's bold it up. Font weight bold. Okay. Reload. It doesn't look as bold for some reason. Actually, let's bring the font size up. Let's bring it up to 14. I think it's at 13. There we go. There we go. Looking good. Alright, so that's our left menu, and you'll see here we have this kind of drifting over into our menu, but that's just, we gotta do some clearing and floating, and that'll all be fixed. So let's move on. Yeah, so pretty much what we have left is the two content divs. If we go to the finished page, we have this content 1 and this content 2 with the 4 developer divs inside, and that's pretty much it. If we go over to our HTML, you can see the left menu we just did, and then we have these two contents. So let's go to our style sheet and let's start on the content div. Now what do we need here? We have a few things in this content div. We have a heading, we have 2 more headings, we have 2 paragraphs, and we have this image. So what I'm going to do first is make the content display as block, so so it's not in line with anything, which doesn't do anything at the moment. And I want to set a width. I want to make the content width 680 pixels. Okay, and I want to add a margin top of 15 pixels, which would be right here. This would be the margin. As I'm pretty sure I explained the difference between margin and padding, is this content's margin would be here to here, its padding would be here to the wherever in. 10 pixels padding would be 10 pixels inward. 10 pixels margin would be 10 pixels outward. So that's pretty much the best I can explain that. Alright, so let's save this, reload. Not much different. Let's float this to the left and save. Okay. What else we got here? Alright, so this is actually, these content divs are going to have a white background, so let's do that. Save. Whoop, sorry, that's the other site. Alright, so we're getting there. I mean, this is the final, and this is our project, and we're getting there. Slowly but surely. So what I want to do, I want to round these corners. Again, all we have to do is use the border radius CSS3 property, which is awesome. Reload, and now they're rounded. And I want to do that border. You'll see it that these have these thick blue borders. So let's do that. We're just going to do border 6 pixels, solid, and let me get that blue color. There we go. Save, reload. There we go. Remember, this content is this applies to both of these. They're both contents. They both have an ID of content. So whatever happens to one happens to the other, because they're the same element per se. Now I want to do a padding. You'll see it's all squished up against the edge, so we want a padding of 15 pixels. Yeah, that looks a little better. Now for the margin, the left menu is squished up against the content divs. We don't want that, so let's just do a margin left of 15 pixels. That should push that over. There we go. Definitely getting there. Let's see, what do I want to do next? I want to see what's up with this image. Let me just see in the HTML what this looks like. Alright, so we have the image. We went over this in the first chapter, how to insert images into an HTML document. And we have an image. It has a class of float. And the source of the image is in the images folder, and the name of it is web.jpg. So let's go to our structure, our file structure that we're doing here, and we have the CSS folder, we have the images folder with the background image in it from earlier, but we don't have that image, that web image. So I'm going to get that from the project files. And I suggest you do the same. So I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it. Okay, now let's go back here and reload, and there's the image. Now if you look at the final, the image is floated next to the text. It's not on top of it. So we're going to get to that in a second. But now that we have the image, now what I want to do is format these headings. And the headings are H3s, I believe. The main heading is an H2, and these two are H3s. So let's style those. So we want content actually, you know what? One second. You know what? I'm not going to do content H3. I'm actually just going to style the H3s because we don't have any others. that we need to style. So if it's going to be a core element like body, like, whoop, sorry about that, like body or anything like that that doesn't have an ID or a class, I like to keep it up at the top. So I'm just going to say for H3s, and this will be for all H3s, we're going to do a font size of 16 pixels. Now this will be for all H3s unless you specify a certain one, like how we specified this H2 to be in the header div. And I want the font weight to be bold. And what else? I want to add some padding. I want the top and bottom to be 10 pixels padding, but nothing on the left and right. And for the color, let me grab the color. Alright, so if I save this, these two H3 should be affected. And there we go. Okay, that looks good. Next thing I want, now we should float that image. Alright, so you'll see the image right here where we have the image. We gave it a class of float, and I did that because I want the image to be floated, but I don't want to actually, I wanted a way to reuse this if we need to, if we have other images that we want to be floated. So I just gave it a class of float, and I'm going to do this right here. I'm going to do float, and we want to float it to the right, and we don't want text to be squished up against it, so I'm going to give it a margin of 15 pixels, and I think that should do it. We save. Yeah, there we go. So this margin, I gave it the margin, otherwise this text would all be up against it and it would just look ugly. So let's compare. Looks good. Now next we have the second content div down here with the developer divs, which I'll show you here. You'll see we have div class developer, and it ends here. Then we have another one ends here. So there's 4 developer divs. Let's see. Actually, what did I label it? Just trying to figure one thing out. Alright, so let's take the developer class. Now this here would apply to all 4 of these, all these developers and their locations and so on. We're gonna give them a width, because if you see, we want to line them up. We want them to go horizontally, so we got to give each one a width of, I'm going to say 170. So we'll do a width of 170 pixels, and we want to float them to the right. Let's just see what that does. Alright, so everything's floated. It still looks really crampy, and it's not right yet, but we're definitely getting there. Now what we have here is we have a heading, and then we have an unordered list. So I'm going to take the unordered list, I'm going to take the developer unordered lists, and I'm going to do margin bottom 10 pixels. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is, you see this is a little squished together here. This is an H2 heading, and these are all H4 headings. So this is also an H2 heading. So what I want to do is I want to make a style for all H2s. For all H2s, I want to just add some padding on the bottom of 10 pixels. So that would put 10 pixels on the bottom of every H2 element on the page. So if we reload, now you'll see this is spaced out better. We have the H4, we have 5 pixels in the H4. I'm actually going to change that to 7 pixels. Reload, gives us a little more room. And the last thing we need to do is this list here. What I want to do is get rid of the bullets, and I want this pushed over. I want it aligned with the H4 up top. So I'm going to say, we're going to take the developer class, we're going to take its list items, and I want to list style none, because this will get rid of the bullets. I actually like to put it here as well in the UL. So if we reload, save, reload, the bullets are gone. Now we just got to fix the padding. It looks like 10 pixel padding was added to the UL. I don't know why that happens, but certain browsers will do certain things, and this is one of them. So I'm just going to do just padding 0, and save that, reload. Alright, so it's now aligned to the left, but it's also, we want to put some space in between these. And we don't want to add padding to each list item. We'll want to just fix the line height. The line height property will adjust this so that they're not so squished together. So line height, and I'm going to say 1.5 EM. Save that, reload. Still a little smushed together, so I'm just going to say 2. No, that's too much. 1.7. Like I said, it's a lot of trial and error when you're just learning this stuff. Alright, so that looks good. If we look at the final, you know, there's very, very subtle differences. I might have had an extra pixel padding somewhere along the way, but it's all together, the nav bar, the header, the content, and the left sidebar.